Well, if you're like me and you're from Abbotsford, you've probably seen what's going on at Cooper Farms. And if you don't know where Cooper is, it's this adorable little farmhouse that you see right here. If you've ever driven up McMillan Road towards McKee or taking a left on McKee and you have that tight, narrow stretch of road, that's because of Cooper Farms. Cooper Farms was purchased, I believe, in 1926 by Alan Cooper, who then left it to his daughter, Kathleen Cooper, who lived there her entire life. She never lived on any other property besides that property. Here's another picturesque shot of it, so you can see why she wanted to stay. So this is Kathleen Cooper. She died at 91 back in 2020, which means she was born May 28th, 1929. She graduated high school in 1947, and she was a teacher for 44 years in Abbotsford. She was actually one of the first female principals in Abbotsford. She was on Peardenville Elementary, which is now Dormick Park, and then she was the principal at Borrowtown Elementary on the Flats, if you know where that is. She actually retired in 1993, and that's when she increased the farm's capacity from 30 cows to 100 cows. So it was actually an active farm. It wasn't just for tax purposes. That was her job, and she loved her cows. If you talk to anyone who knew her, apparently every cow had a name, and she was a huge animal lover. You could see her riding around on the quads, as I've shown you here. But she would be, obviously seen with her German Shepherds and cats. And I believe they struck a deal for this farm in 2016, but it didn't go through into her death until 2020. And it only sold for $19.65 million. And if you think that's a lot of money, it is. I mean, it's nothing I would shake a stick at, but for the amount of developable space that this property was, it's not a lot. If this was done in 2016, which makes sense, property has probably doubled in value since then, and now that it's been approved and rezoned, it's even worth more money. So let's talk about it. So this property is 60.68 acres, and you can see that here. The technical name for the developer is Cooper Meadows Development, which is actually done all through Polygon. So Polygon's the developer on this property. They're massive, and they're going to do a really good job. When Polygon took it, OCP'd for Urban 4, which is lower density, 25 units per hectare. What they've done is they've rezoned it to get townhouses, row homes on this property, as well as giving a good amount back to the city for park space and stuff like that. So let's get into it. Here's an aerial shot of Cooper Farms. So 60 acres, you can see the entire city has developed around it. And this is the one holdout in the area. And if you look over, you can see this kind of a zigzag S-looking road. That is McKee Road, which was never constructed. So they knew that they would eventually get to build that road, and they're going to connect across the Abbey Mission connector to George Ferguson. So George Ferguson will have an overpass that will connect to McKee and will go all the way up through Cooper Farms and connect to McKee at the top there. So it will be able to bypass the bottleneck on Old Claiborne to the north. So this is really, really good for anyone living in that area. It's going to make the flow of traffic a lot better. Unfortunately, for those that live in that little dead end in George Ferguson, it's about to get a lot busier for those people. Here is an overlay of the property and the development that's being proposed. So you can see they're both kind of linked up. I'm going to actually flip it, and we're going to zoom into the property so I can start talking about the individual property products that are getting built on the property. So here it is spun. Here we are zoomed into the property, and you're going to be able to see all of the products that they have coming up. Let's start at the top left, and you're going to see 44 duplex units, 88 units total, 6 single detached homes, which is going to finish out that cul-de-sac, which I can show you back here. And below that, you're going to see 26 row homes, and then you're going to see 78 single detached units, another duplex in the corner there, a detention facility. Don't know what that is. A detention facility, this could be anything from, I don't even want to speculate, but it's a detention facility of some kind. So that's right beside all those homes in the elementary school. Fantastic city planning. Moving on, there's going to be 2 dog parks there. One is going to be for big dogs, one's for small dogs. They're going to reshape the road to connect down to High Drive and McKee, so that won't be such a tight turn. There'll be a 190 unit complex built. 190 units is insane. That's a lot of units. We're going to talk about the value of all of this real estate soon. Where the existing homestead is, that will all be torn down, and they're going to put 40 units there as well. Okay, so you can see there's 17.7 acres of land that are going to the parks. They're going to have walking trails through it. They're going to be improving Discovery Trail. And there'll be a 1.4 acre conservation area, as well as 53,000 square meters of roads and sidewalks built as well. And part of that is going to be that McKee road going straight through the center of that property. So McKee Road is now going to connect all the way to George Ferguson. I don't know when that overpass is going to be built, but it will eventually be built there. If you can see the topography, you can see the steep slope on this graph here. This is where the walking trails will be given back to the city. I guess it already is, because this has already been approved. So this is not up for public reading. That already happened. This has been approved and they're already building. So that is city land now. You can see where the topography is. It's steep slope. And then they're going to build as many houses into that steep slope as they can. And then they're going to keep a lot of the tree line down the center of the property. You can see where it's a bit of slope to there as well. A lot of those trees are staying. So that's actually going to keep a nice look for the neighborhood, and they'll actually separate the townhouse complex from the residential detached homes. And you're probably asking yourself, but Merrick, this is a lot of homes. This is 430 units of homes. How is this going to affect the school system? Well, the school system is aware of this. There's speculating 78 elementary students, 43 middle students, and 35 secondary students. I think it's probably going to be a little bit more than that. They're not super concerned as far as Claiborne Middle School or Bateman, as those schools, they're not at capacity. And in East Abbotsford, middle school and high school students are on the decline. The elementary school, Margaret Sanderson, is at capacity. So this is a bit of an issue. They may move the boundary a little bit and get some of those townhouse kids over to Prince Charles Elementary. Margaret Sanderson, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but they're doing a big improvement right now where they're taking the capacity of that school from 325, 26 students, whatever it is, and they're going to bring it above 500. So they are already building that. The school board knew that this was coming, and here they are doing the job ahead of time. Congratulations. Good job, Abbotsford School Board, getting that ready for the kids. So let's talk about the products that are getting built onto this site. So the products are going to be 26 row homes. If you're not familiar with row homes, here's a shot of George Ferguson and Ash Street where they built those row homes. Here's a shot of what they look like from the front. Duplexes, I think of mid-70s duplexes that we all lived in when we were, real early kids. It was a fourplex for me. These are the new duplexes. So here's a shot of the new duplexes, what you can expect. And here's another shot, which is probably most accurate, is this one here with these two gray duplexes. So you're going to see a lot of those duplexes, 45 lots dedicated to that, which is 90 duplexes. And let's talk values. Now, when you see a development of this size, it's super easy to kind of go, oh, wow, yeah, that's a lot. But 190 townhouses. So I've got a graph here and that I'll put up, and it is a breakdown of how many units and how much they're going to be worth on the high and worth on the low. So I've got a high price and a low price, and I'll explain my prices as I go through. And I think this is super interesting. So if you are a nerd like me with real estate, then you'll love this analogy. Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's start with the detached. So we've got the yellow detached here. I'm going to show you the map and I'm going to walk you through my prices. So these yellow units here, these 6, these are larger lots, and they're going to finish off the cul-de-sac at the end there. So the price on those ones, probably a low of 1.25 million and a high of 1.4 million. So that's going to give us anywhere from 7.5 million to 8.4 million on those 6 alone. Moving forward, you can see 78 single detached dwellings. So those are going to be smaller lots. The average home in Abbotsford right now is worth $1.238 million. So if those are average, now remember, those are going to be brand new, never lived in, toilets never flushed, those are going to be brand new. So they're likely going to be worth more than that. On a low side, let's take the Abbotsford average. That's $96 million in those homes alone. If you take what I think they would go for, the 1.35 range plus GST, those are $105 million worth of homes. Then you've got the duplex, which I've thrown into the other duplexes already. Circling down, you've got the row homes, 26 row homes. And you're looking at anywhere from $1 million to 1.2. So going back to the row homes on George Ferguson, they're going to look something like this. There's going to be 26 of them. I don't know if these row homes are going to have a detached garage or not with a suite above. They may. If that's the case, those are going to be worth $1.2 million. And if that is the case, we're looking at $31 million for those units. Now going to the townhouses, the average townhouse in Abbotsford is $658,000. But those are your old townhouses, new townhouses. I think these ones are going to be selling around the $750 range, maybe a bit more. If that's the case, I mean, they could be really nice units with rooftop patios. They could be even worth more. But let's say there's $750 per unit. That's a grand total of $142 million on just those townhouses. $142 million. That's what the retail value will be when those units are sold. Obviously, there's going to be cost of construction. There's DCCs, which are development cost charges. They've got to build roadways. They're giving land back to the parks. Like, there's a ton of money that's going into this development, and there's a lot of money that the city's making from this development. Now, remember, we're not done yet. We still have those 40 units in the bottom corner. So those 40 townhouses, let's go with the same price as the 190, and we've got $658,000 on a low and about $750,000 on a high, which I still think is low, by the way. And so we're looking at another $30 million. So we're looking at a total of anywhere between $324 million all the way up to $371 million for this development in the actual retail selling price of what these units are going to be worth. That is a lot of money tied up in real estate. There was actually a petition that went around. There was about 1,000 signatures where people were upset about this development going through. Well, guess what, guys? The city of Abbotsford has about 371 million reasons why they want to see this go through. There's a lot of units here, 430 units, and that doesn't even include any of these homes having suites. I didn't even talk about that. But remember, these 78 single-family detached homes could have suites in them. You could see suites in the 6 on that cul-de-sac for sure. We're in a situation here where we're having a lot of families moving into this home, and it makes sense for property value, and it makes sense for, it's nice. It would have been nice to have a farm in the center of town forever, but, that real estate's far too valuable. You might be asking yourself, why did they hold out so long on this property? Now, I don't know if this is true. This is a rumor that I've heard. I'm going to tell you the story anyways because I think it's funny. So back in the day, Alan Cooper, the old owner who bought it in 1926, they started developing around him. This is in the late 70s, and he went in to get his barn, get a new barn or something like that. And they denied him the application. I checked with the city. It doesn't look like anything was denied. This is just a rumor, so I'm telling you it. Speculation. They said, no, we want to move you out of there, and it's not going to be farmland anymore or whatever. So he was kind of pissed, and on his deathbed makes his daughter promise that she'll never sell the property. So his daughter, being true to her word, lived to the ripe age of 91 and never sold the property. So that's the rumor of why they held out. I don't know if that's true, but I mean, why wouldn't you? I guess she was happy. She was retired. She had a full career, 44 years as a teacher, principal. She had a pension. She's living a decent life. So this is a massive development coming in. 2 dog parks, detention center of some kind. I don't know what it is. Walking trails. They're connecting George Ferguson to McKee. I don't know when that overpass will be built, but it will be built eventually. Looks like $371 million in retail value on these homes when they are finally sold. And this is going to be getting built for years and years. They're cutting up the ground now. Obviously, they've got that steep slope area they're not going to be building on. That's the park area, the trails. And we've kind of touched on everything that this development is. So if you have any questions, reach out.